What is going on, everybody? Bobby Five back with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. I would say happy Tuesday. It's a little disappointing Tuesday for me. I had some really deep runs in the tournaments last night, and especially the Jamal Murray ejection, without a doubt, cost me at least 65,000. That's the lowest amount I could see it have costed me, as much as potentially 200,000. I didn't have that much Jamal Murray, but I did have him in some lineups that had like 10 entries that were going to win everything, including the championship qualifier, the slam. That I may not have won the slam. I would needed 15 and more, 16 more out of Murray in a half, which I think I would have gotten, but I'm not 100% sure. But 10 more, 9 more, I'm almost positive in a tight game that was going to happen. And the Jamal Murray ejection really crushed it. And then on FanDuel, on DraftKings, I tried to make some Simons for Giles pivots, but I was too in love with Giles and didn't do it in my 888, and that would have given me the win in the 888. Instead, it ends up being a profitable day and a day that I'd like to put behind me and move on to the next one. Sheets, how about you?
Well, I'm not going to put it behind me quite yet. So I lost a little bit yesterday. Could have been worse. And I just want to get a little speech. Bob, how old are you, Bobby?
37.
You're 37.
Am I 37? Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm 39. What am I saying?
Wow, that's pretty brutal.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, look, dude, I've been in 37 or 37. I felt like when the lockdown began.
Right. So I'm 54, just turned 54. And I just want to let you guys know, those of you who are watching your 20s and your 30s, I have a little sympathy for the older generation, because sometimes, when they say something stupid or something, sometimes literally the brain just kind of dissipates. Now, keep something I consider as one of the sharper people out there. I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, a lot of business, and a lot of stuff going on, and I'm able to multitask really well. Every once in a while, it just fails on you a little bit, and just so have a little respect if sometime, like, let's say your father, your grandfather, said forget something or whatever it is. There's nothing really they could do about it. For example, last night I had 50% going into this slate of Steven Adams. I thought it was a really good value play. And then I saw that the Pelicans were, the game was canceled. I'm like, oh, okay. At least step one, at least I noticed it. That's good. Okay. Number two, I noticed it in time. All right. That's good. And I went, okay, I'm going to take out all of my Pelicans. I didn't have that many. So I took out my Ingram. That's all I had. And then, I just kind of forgot, that went on. And then I saw that Steven Adams, when the game started, when the OKC game started, was only 0.02% owned. Oh my God, I just got the greatest. Oh my God. I totally have forgotten that Steven Adams was not even on OKC anymore, and he was on the Pelicans. So 50% of my FanDuel items went into the garbage. So listen, it happens. It's no need to get mad about it. Just embrace it and just have a little sympathy for those senior citizens out there that are, listen, I'm trying to manage my hedge fund, my family, doing live streams and going and every once in a while you just have that little brain freeze. And so that was my night last night. And I'm ready to get into today. Starting with, by the way, let me just remind you guys. So I told you guys I had a golf tournament. I had a golf week last week where I entered one lineup and like a bunch of different things. And one of them was a satellite, which I didn't even know what it was paying. I knew it paid $360 worth of something. I thought it was a ticket to some basketball thing. Turns out it was a $360 ticket to a hockey thing. And that's today. And of course, it's a 14-game slate.
What?
Oh yeah, it's the biggest hockey slate of the year. That's why they gave us.
I don't even have I don't know how you do it, man. I wouldn't have the energy to keep up with that stuff.
Well, I didn't keep up with it. I launched the freaking lobby. It was 14 games.
No. I mean, I just don't know how you play it. It's.
Oh no. Well, for me, it's like anything else. I'm just learning about correlation, learning about what goes why.
Right.
So a little shout out to Roto Grinders. Everybody can go root for Nashville tonight because they're from Roto Grinders. So yeah. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing. I can pronounce at least 50% of the names in this lineup, and we'll just see what happens. All right. So and we're going to do golf tomorrow, but let's get into the NBA, which is 3-game slate. However, I mean, there's some intrigue, man. There's definitely some intrigue into tonight and basically every game.
Yep, I totally agree. I'm gonna have to stop looking back at ownership percentages from yesterday because it's already depressing me. I really feel like I played that slate out like 10 times, I would have won like 6 of them. I really do, at least a couple of those tournaments. Anyway, all right. Yeah, it's a small slate, but it has like, you do have a lot of options. I mean, there's no lack, we have I guess we'll get into it first, but we have the Clippers without pretty much everybody that you'd want from the Clippers. And
What do you think about what DraftKings did
with the pricing? Great.
Yeah, you like that they did that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You should never.
So I like it. I mean, I wish that they definitely overdid it in some sense. I kind of wish they would have done it with Cousins also. But I do like that DraftKings is at least putting some thought into when they see that that stuff like that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did it pretty well for the guys who would be in controlling the ball, the guys who don't play as much, like Reggie Jackson, and I actually think they did a pretty good job with it. But let's get into it. How are we going to play these guys?
Do me a favor. Can you, before we leave yesterday, I just want to just bring something up to you. So Bobby, I consider Bobby having a good night last night. I mean, just a couple of ejections, whatever. And I don't know whether this is coincidental or not, but as you guys may or may not know, I've been keeping track of like a lot of sites projections, both ownership and points wise, and take this kind of stat for what it is. Yesterday, was the highest average discrepancy between projections and results across the entire industry for the whole season. It's ranked number one and I calculated by average, kind of like just however far they were off of the top 50% of the performers, right? Mm-hmm. And it was the highest discrepancy of the whole season, and it coincidentally was the day that you kind of nailed it. You know what I mean? So and it speaks to Bobby's style, is that projections are fine, but there's more to life and there's more to basketball than projections. And that was one of the reasons, I found that somewhat interesting. I only pulled it up because you mentioned the ownership, and I was going to just kind of like go through some of the ownership stuff. But yeah, I figured I'd bring that up.
Yeah, I figured it was too. I mean, you had guys like Josh Jackson and Jeremy Lamb who were going to be the chalk. And by the way, that's one thing I did. I played 35% Josh Jackson. I played 20% Jeremy Lamb, and they went nuts. They were great.
Yeah.
Well, Josh Jackson put up 29 or something, and I think Jeremy Lamb put up 35. But for 4,400, they were great plays. And people come off. That's one thing I do when I build out my things that I thought was really good. I ended up having a shot at a bunch of the fadeaways and a bunch of the big field tournaments because when I whittle down, I do tend to try and leave at least one or both of my initial values in some lineups rather than reacting to the updated values that we had. Anyway, all right. With that said,
did you have any DeLon Wright?
He's the one guy I didn't have any of that did great. But I had so much Norman Powell, it didn't matter like as much. You know what I mean?
So like to give you an example, let me just show you, for example. Okay, so this was like, so this is just the points, right? Now again, these are the guys that didn't play, so they don't really count. And Domantas Sabonis doesn't count because he got, he got injured out of the game. But the two guys they were obviously way off on the most was obviously Doncic and LeBron. But this was the big one was the DeLon Wright. And then on the other side of the coin, they over.
Wait. You mean the projections or the what's it called?
The ownership.
So the ownership.
Well, this is the projection. I'll just do the projection first.
Yeah, but what about the ownership? Because
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that next. I have two different things.
Okay.
So as far as projection of points, the ones who outperformed the industry was DeLon Wright. The guy who and obviously Luka and LeBron's guys who underperformed the industry was Lowry, McDermott, Kobe White, whatever. But as far as ownership goes, so what this is the average ownership of everybody, and what this is the difference. So Hamidou Diallo.
Now you're doing that based on one tournament or a bunch of tournaments?
This was just the one. This was just the big one.
That's what I figured. Okay.
Yeah, this was just the big one. So we could just go by, first of all, who the highest owned was. So Dwight Howard was 62%, then Diallo. And again, like when I try to and this is how far people kind of got it off. So again, it was a little weird night to analyze because of these Spurs guys. I haven't quite figured out how to account for the fact that and take all their ownership down after they weren't playing and all.
Right.
But there was Diallo. Even they under projected Howard. Even Carmelo, Bam. Well, Jaden McDaniels, they thought would get more ownership. He didn't.
Wait, they had him. I'll tell you. Yeah. He actually ended up with like he was in a couple of contending lineups last night.
Yeah, but once again, just so you know, the guys who got closest was Osimo again. And that's pretty. Not to hype a site, man, but hey, they got something going on over there, that's for sure. And I use them, so there you go. All right, you ready for today?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. All right. So as I was alluding to, DraftKings adjusted for pricing. Because both Kawhi and Leonard are out. Is anybody else out from that team?
Yeah. So, well, it's more important. Let's just talk about who's in and who's going to play, because I don't do that. I don't like. That's one thing other shows do that I really hate.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So let's start with who's going to play. So Marcus Morris is going to play.
Yeah.
Marcus Morris is going to play, and this is by no accident. These are like the top plays from the game. Even with the price increase or whatever, I still think that Lou Williams is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one who's going to probably get a lot of the there's I want to talk to you about two guys, but one guy is going to be like one of those guys that people talk about is whether Reggie Jackson's a good player or not. It seems as though he wouldn't be, but I'm not sure. But the guys I want to talk about are the two centers, Ibaka and Zubac, specifically Ibaka, because, and this is an interesting thing I kind of picked up, was that the last year when both those guys were out, the guy who actually picked up, now he's a different player, right? But the guy who picked up the most usage was actually Harrell.
That makes sense, though. That's because they run Harrell screen and ones with Lou Williams. I don't think you should expect anything similar like that from Ibaka.
Yeah, that's okay. That's what I was going to ask you, is whether you think that could translate to.
I've seen Ibaka for a million years do this, and his production. He's not a guy you ever run anything through.
Okay.
So he's gonna. You could say that there's going to be extra shots to go around. That's the only argument for Ibaka here. I actually don't even think his minutes will increase at all.
I'll just say that my favorite play is Marcus Morris, and I on DraftKings,
yeah.
And I don't really like any of the others all that much.
I like Lou Will a lot.
You do?
I think that he'll get the chance here. I like Kennard.
Okay.
I'm curious about the minutes, but I don't think you have to go there with all these guys. I think my initial feeling was maybe I do have to go there more than I actually am going to end up having to. But Zubac to me is interesting because you actually can run enough through him where he could dominate. I mean, even in the last game, he put up 30, and his minutes might go up. Like there is lineups that Atlanta can play that would force potentially some minutes with Ibaka and him, or with, maybe it wouldn't be just him or Ibaka on the court. I don't think it has to break out that way, even though that's the way it's been, because of Atlanta playing two bigs, assuming that Capella does play tonight. So the way I would rank him, Morris is number one. Lou Williams, partly because he's going to be lower owned, is number two. And then I have Kennard, Batum in a similar range. Batum is actually a really strong. I mean, first of all, we'll just say it doesn't really matter because no fans or whatever, but you get a little bit of revenge for Lou Williams. You get a little, whatever, going back to the old stadium and everything. The guys around there, the other people who work there. Same with Batum.
Wait, Lou Williams played in Atlanta?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, for most of his career, it was Atlanta and Philadelphia.
I had no idea.
So those are the guys that just I always look at that stuff, and we joked about with LeBron last night, but and the guys mentioned it in chat, and they brought up a better point than I thought. When the players are warming up with Kobe jerseys on and things like that,
yeah,
you can expect to maybe see LeBron try and take a little bit over, especially him going back to Cleveland the night before. They don't have a game on the day of.
Well, forget even the taking over part. I'm glad you brought the guy. I did want to talk about the game for just a little bit. It's not even so much that they took over. I mean, like, he was making everything. He was awesome. I mean, he was just awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, that's he doesn't. If you watch LeBron and you even roster LeBron, usually what you see in the first quarter is like he'll get like 6 fantasy points in his first rotation. That he'll come back at the end of the quarter, and next thing you know, boom, you're off and running in the second quarter. But last night he was shooting straight from the get go.
And the reason why I wanted to bring up the game actually is because I was going to ask you if there's any universe where they play like Ibaka and Zubac together, for example. The reason I bring it up is I was watching that Cleveland game, and look, it's very counterintuitive, but I'll tell you, Cleveland looked really tough when they had both those bigs in, man. When they had Jared Allen and Andre Drummond.
Yeah, that's going to happen, but they can get away with that against the Lakers and like two other teams, really.
Probably.
You know? The Lakers are the perfect team to try and play that against.
And the other comment about that game, again, I don't know why, all these things kind of popped up, was that the NBA and sports in general, talk about this from a sports betting perspective, these people are not robots. They don't do this, and they have emotions and they have letdowns. And they get things up. Just the night before, Cleveland lost by 40 freaking points to Boston. And it looked like they couldn't freaking do anything. And they came out with a lot of freaking heart and pushed the Lakers. It took like a LeBron performance like that to get it done for the Lakers. I mean, and that was also with Sexton actually not even that great until like later, So the NBA, I mean, sports is funny, man. I mean, from one day to another, these are still human beings. They're not just data points on the spreadsheet. Sometimes, we get all bogged down with recency bias and stuff, and it's not that easy.
Yep, I hear you.
All right, so what about Atlanta? I think they finally priced me out of all my yapping about Clint Capella. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to play him at 97 million or whatever it is. If Trae Young plays, I think Trae Young is a good play. If Trae Young he's got to play, right? Because he doesn't have to. If he doesn't play, then it's back to Rondo, I suppose. I'd rather not, but I don't know how I wouldn't be able to. And then we also, I don't know, man. I don't know about Collins, Hunter. I guess with Young out, the shots have to come from somewhere. So if Young is out, I would probably go back to Hunter. I just like him better than the other guys. But if Young plays, I think Young's a decent play.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that Hunter had the big game the other day. I still don't entirely buy that he actually benefits much from Trae Young being out. So
you like Herter?
It's fine. Everybody's fine here. I don't really have I need to. If Trae Young plays, I like Trae Young.
Yeah.
I actually think that you do make the tournament play with Capella today.
Ooh, look at that.
It's a 3-game slate. You got nothing else to do. I mean, look, some of these numbers, he's not going to block 10 shots every game, okay, like he did in the last game. But he might keep getting 20-ish rebounds a game. And especially with all these guys in the Clippers, and they are really like almost clearing the rebounds out for him. It's crazy. If Trae Young's out, the guy who I think actually picks up the biggest boost is John Collins, because he's going to be able, they can run offense through him and Herter. Obviously Rondo too, but if Trae Young is in, I don't have as much interest in Collins or Hunter. I'm okay with Hunter, but I'm not like at the price. I really like him as a real life player. I just don't know how he gets there too much for you at this price, especially when the rebounds are basically non-existent anymore because Capella gets every one. We saw it last night with Portland. Every single rebound they got was basically Cantor, so it killed everyone else. And that's sort of what's going on in general with Capella. So if Capella for some reason is out, by the way, too, then you want to load up on Collins. You want to load up on probably and the thing is, we really have to wait and see and figure out, because Cam Reddish would be in play, a strong play if we had no Trae Young. So we really need to know about Trae, but assuming Trae plays, I would say Trae Young is probably the best play here, but I would have like 10 to 15% of Capella, maybe even a little bit more, just because no one's going to go there. It's a small slate, and we've already seen his ability to break slates. He's put up 54, 54, 76, and 63 his last 4 games. Now, I'm not saying it'll continue forever, but why wouldn't we chase that when no one's going to chase it?
Yeah, so this is where I'm going to contradict myself. I'm not going to say contradict myself, because it's actually, I'm going to double down on my comment, is that Bobby's much less of a projection guy than I am, and I'm getting better. I'm trying to find projection guys that are close, and I'll give up a couple of points of projection for better ownership and better upside and better correlation and stuff. But I'll just kind of share with you what I have here. Like, if you presume that Cousins is clearly the best center, right? I will say that based on the projections I'm looking at, there's like exactly the same like point per point, raw point projection with Capella and Gobert, who's $2,000 less. So
Right.
it's going to be a rough one for me to do it. Now, with that said, like Bobby's saying, if it's a rough one for me to do it, it's a rough one for everybody to do it, and you'll get Capella at 10% or less on a 3-game slate, which is
Less.
which is interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, I just don't see people playing him over Bradley Beal and Lopez and Westbrook and all these other guys.
Yep.
All right, ready to jump on?
Yep. All right, so it's Revenge City in Washington, right? So it's so what do we got? We got Westbrook going back to Houston. We got Wall playing against Washington. Is that it? I thought there was more. I guess that was it. And we just got Cousins revenge against the world, I suppose. I don't know. So Cousins is once again the best point per dollar play on the slate. And then Bradley Beal was probably going to be my favorite from the Washington side.
What game are you jumping game? I'm sorry. I always thought you go in Houston. You're saying both sides together. I'm trying to figure out. I'm just trying to keep track because I was like on Houston side and then Washington.
All right, so let's just do Houston first.
Yeah.
So Houston, I think Cousins again is a tough fade. The only thing I would say is that I do think that you can get if you get a really good game out of Gobert, for example, and a good game out of somebody else, you might be able to fade Cousins. So that's where I'm at with that. The other thing is that there's a couple of other things you could do in this game, which we'll get to the other side of it, that you could fade Cousins too. But he certainly rates to be the best play. Then the John Wall thing, the I don't say lack of minutes, but I guess lack of minutes kind of concerns me a little bit from the last game. But this is sort of Coors Field, right?
They like 45 points or something.
What's that?
What happened in the last game?
They only played like 20 something minutes, right?
What did they? Let me take a look at what happened there. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, Shoots.
Yeah, but this is close game. This is Coors Field against Washington, right? Certainly going to be motivated. Maybe they let him play, and then he's going to be in a really, really great spot. So I like him, and I like Oladipo. I don't like any of the other stuff. Just for me, it's Cousins, Wall, and Oladipo for Houston.
Yeah, they lost that game to Dallas by 100 million points. So I wouldn't put too much in there. I know that Wall was out for a minute.
Okay.
I think that Wall gets up for this game.
Yeah.
So I guess starting with I'll start with Washington because I always
Okay.
No, I'll start with Houston. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I think I'll be below the field on Cousins, but I'll still have a lot of them. I don't know what else to say. Like, obviously he's a good play. I think that it's pretty hard for him especially in this matchup. It's pretty hard for him not to get there. There's foul trouble. There's getting into it. There's not being able to run up and down the court. Maybe all these things can give you a reason to potentially play him. I do think that John Wall is my preferred guy over Oladipo here. But I like Oladipo a little bit as well. I don't think I can really comfortably want to play anybody else on Houston. If we had any of those other bodies out that we had last time, or any of these extra ones, or House was out, I think you could take another look at Jason Tate, but I don't think the way the slate works, it's going to make a lot of sense. So I'm not really interested in the other pieces too much in Houston. Eric Gordon would be your long shot tournament play. There's a chance he could just go nuts here, but even then he probably only gets you like 40 or something. Yeah, that's where
I don't like. By the way, I'm thinking about. I don't think I like Oladipo without the point guard minutes. You know what I mean? I think I prefer Walt to Oladipo. Also, I agree with you.
Yeah, and again, I think Oladipo is a really good play. I just don't think that. I just prefer Walt personally.
So Washington, though, except for Westbrook and Beal, the whole country is out.
Yeah.
So you could play guys. You don't want to play Cousins. You feel like joining a little Alex Len action at 3,300.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I mean, So there's him. Then there's these other guys. It's kind of tough to find usage with probably someone on the court between Westbrook and Beal the whole game. But Garrison
How many
Matthews.
minutes? We don't have any idea how many minutes Westbrook's going to play. He was on a strict minutes limit the last game.
He's going to go into Houston and play as much as he wants. No.
Well, it means everything because every game for Washington they should be treating like that. They need to win anyway. And the fact that he had a strict minutes restriction the last game, it has me a little bit worried. I've never seen Westbrook really with a minutes restriction before.
Right.
Like, even when he's either played or he hasn't. So
Right.
that one sort of threw me for a loop. My initial thoughts are just play all the Bradley Beal you can.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
And if Westbrook is going to get normal minutes, then Westbrook is clearly the best play in my opinion.
But we won't know that, right?
We might. Yeah,
they're going to say like without a minute.
There's no reason they shouldn't say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would expect that they do actually.
So you think it's if they announce no minutes restriction, play Westbrook, and if they announce minutes restriction, play Beal?
Yeah.
And you like these other guys at all? You like?
I think you can even play both of them too. By the way, I like Garrison Matthews. I like. I don't like the price on Robin Lopez. I like Len, as you mentioned, as a little bit of a pivot. I don't mind. Look, it's a kind of slate where you can afford to play the value of Bonga just on the minutes alone. It's just that kind of slate. And if you want to look for an upside on it, he took 10 shots. I don't think he's ever taken 10 shots in the game last game. Jerome Robinson is the best value though on Washington. Should have plenty of minutes. He's active. I like what he does.
You like him more than Matthews?
Yeah, I think he's the better play than Matthews. Now Matthews could get hot and it could turn out the other way, but Jerome Robinson does enough other things on the court that I think he makes him a little bit of a better play. We have to figure out about Neto to know for sure. If Neto is out, I definitely would say Jerome Robinson would be the better play. And I wouldn't quite go back to Cassius Winston, but anyway, yeah, I definitely want to prioritize. It's the one of the Beal Westbrook, and then you're playing to me one of Robinson, Len, Bonga, or Matthews, maybe two of those guys in a stack with Houston.
Okay. All right. So Utah, New York. But by the way, let's call it out. 1-for-1 in the sports bets yesterday.
Oh yeah, you really nailed that.
By a lot, right?
Yeah, it was like you knew the under was happening like 3 minutes into the game. That's how safe it was.
It was the Brooklyn under.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Miami under.
Yeah, it was under. It was well under. We could have gone to double overtime and gotten under.
Do you know what's a little bit scary about that? About fading Brooklyn players going forward? Is I swear they all were absolutely doing dreadful, and they all ended up kind of okay. And I don't really know how it happened because they didn't really score points. Like James Harden had like 2 fantasy points through right before halftime. Like it was bizarre.
At the end of the first quarter, he played the whole first quarter. He was negative 0.5.
I know, and he ended up with 48 or something.
It's
It's so crazy. All right, so what were you going to say, Sheets?
Oh, so I like Knicks plus 10.5 in this game.
Why is it so much? I know that Utah is playing well, but this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. We haven't seen that many double-digit spreads the whole year. The Knicks have been, if nothing else, extremely competitive.
Yeah, they're totally competitive. So
All right,
I want to
game.
What's that?
Let's do some business in this game. I like this game.
So I want to show you something. This is amazing. So I want to show you the popcorn machine from the I don't think I've ever seen it from the Knicks game. All right. So this is Elf Payton.
Mm-hmm.
All the whole first quarter.
Wait, hold on.
See this?
I'm trying to look at it. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to look. Where's Elf?
Elf Payton right here.
Yeah.
You see that blue?
Yeah.
Let me play the whole first quarter. You see this up here, Emmanuel Quickly?
Yeah.
He played the whole second quarter.
Yeah.
With Payton sitting.
Yeah.
Third quarter, Payton played the whole third quarter.
Well, Quickly was absolutely out of control.
Wait, and Quickly sat the whole third quarter.
I know.
And then Quickly played the whole fourth quarter.
Oh man.
I don't think I've ever seen 24 by 24 like exactly like that with point guards.
No, you almost never do. I don't think that was the original plan, but Quickly.
No, I don't think so.
He just played himself a little bit too well into where if he's got it going, they kind of have to give him that run.
Yeah. So
As far as I remember, I thought Elf was actually playing okay at first for a while too. Maybe he wasn't, but I know quickly he was like just unbelievable. Sorry, go
so
ahead.
I guess the obvious fun business to do in this game is Alec Burks, right?
Um, yeah, that's the fun one. That's the one I'm all over. I was like, I didn't think that you were going to come right off because it's not like he projects to be like this incredible
Oh, he
player.
projects to be the worst play on the board, but that's fine.
He's a great play.
But that's fine by me. It's like
I like that it's in Utah too.
in Utah, and he's going to be like 0% owned.
He's going to be low owned, and he is one of those guys. I mean, look, we saw him play 30 minutes now with the production always.
Excuse me, not only one of those guys, but for those of you who remember, I needed him the other day for like a lot of money. And all he had to do was get a single touch in the last 6 minutes, and they literally didn't let him touch the ball. Yeah, he's going to be so mad.
That's not going to happen today.
No, he's going to grab it from Quigley. He's going to grab it from Peyton. You give me this shit.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know what? If I'm wrong and the Knicks are a bad bet and the game's a blowout, I'll play that also. I think. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. So I agree. I like him. I don't know if I can. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I should put my money where my mouth is, right? Like if the Knicks, I think the Knicks can keep it close. Why not play some of these Knicks? I just don't know who to play. That's my problem. The Knicks have gotten a little healthier, so Randall is not playing 48 minutes a game anymore. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think that Gobert is kind of like an elite chalk play for Utah, and I don't know. That was really all I had. Was Alec Burks is kind of the fun play, and Gobert is kind of like the boring play.
Okay.
But you kind of talk me into some stuff. I'm in.
I'm still into the even in the bad matchup. I still can get behind Julius Randle. The numbers are too consistent. You have to find some other way to do it because you want to. Like I don't think you're logically playing him over like Randall. I'm sorry, over Beal.
Yeah.
But I do think that different position obviously. But if you can play those guys together or play him over one of Westbrook, Beal, or Trae Young or those guys, people aren't. But other people aren't going to play him either. And I think there's enough out there to where you can. But my main guy here is going to be Alec Burks. This is what you play these things for. I think he'll be aggressive. I actually think I've got him bumped up because look, he played 30 minutes in his first game back. There's no reason to think it's going to balance out at 27. The reason it was at 27 for the one game was because they were what's it called? That was a back-to-back, and then the other one it was a third and four nights. So here they've got a little bit of a break here. Maybe we see even a little bit more run. Maybe he gets up to that 30 plus that he was at earlier this year, making him an even better play. But mostly I like his ability. Also, if you want to beat Utah, you want to do it with from the outside. It's not like the perimeter defense out there is the same thing that it used to be from years past. All that stuff. RJ Barrett, I believe, played well, and was it this matchup a little bit earlier in the season? Yeah, I think he was. No, he wasn't. He actually struggled. He's okay. All these other guys, I'm going to be below the field on. I'll be below the field on Barrett. I'll be below the field on. I'll be ahead of the field on Nerlens Noel. That's the other.
Ooh, there you go. That's something.
You get Mitchell Robinson potential foul trouble combined with the fact you have to play with size. All of a sudden, you could be seeing a pretty good amount of minutes from a cheap Nerlens Noel, who, by the way, like. You put him in the worst matchups, and that's the only time he ever gets a chance to succeed in the NBA because that's when he gets to play. So, and I do think that playing an unowned Mitch Rob, just because if he doesn't get in foul trouble and he has to be on the court all the time against him, I just don't. I just think he's too.
He's got a problem at that center position again, right?
What's that?
He's got a problem at that center position again with Cousins, right?
I don't know that I need to play Cousins.
Well, that's the answer.
Yeah. Well, so my whole thing is I'm trying to find ways not to play Cousins, like I did yesterday. I think I ended up with 40% on DraftKings of Howard, and I think I ended up with him 25% or 20% on FanDuel. And you just there are spots like a Cousins was 4,200. You could have to say you'd have to play him, but you've got Gobert at 7,200 right there, who's also going to be popular. But you pair Gobert with one of these spend downs, then you've got a differentiating build, or you pair Gobert up with Capella and play for the ceiling.
The other, if you want to continue your kind of like the fun stack, if you're going to play fun Alec Burks, you can play fun Jordan Clarkson, no?
Yeah, why not?
Just fire away. Everybody's firing away. I don't know.
I don't love Jordan Clarkson. I
don't either. I mean,
I prefer
Ingles.
Well, yeah, or I would prefer. I mean, so with what the guy said, and this is where narrative does play into little things, with what the guy said on TNT to him last week, Donovan Mitchell.
What happened?
So Shaq said they're doing this thing where they like to really be confrontational, and it's kind of like gross at times. But they're like, he's like, I wanted to tell you, I always thought Shaq said you're always one of the best players, but I got to tell you that I don't think you're the kind of guy who could ever get to the next level. And he said that to him, and Donovan Mitchell goes, okay, you've been saying that about me for a long time, and I'm just going to continue to prove you guys wrong. But anyway, since that game, he's definitely been more aggressive. One game he only played 27 minutes against Golden State in the blowout, but he still put up 43, 55 the game before that, 42. Donovan Mitchell is like one of the hardest working guys around in all of basketball. Yeah. And when he gets motivated towards something, I think you want to pay attention. And I just think that even at 8,400, he's on this small slate, certainly someone who's available. I've liked what Bogdanovich has looked like in real life. Like I think he's made their team much better. Even my favorite thing about Bogdanovich ever was his game last game, because usually Bogdanovich, if he gets 35, you know what happens. He scored 30 fantasy points. He scored 30 real points. He was 3 for 13 from the floor sheets, and he scored 35 fantasy points. That's incredible. I don't think he's ever done that before. I've had him with less fantasy points than actual points before. Joe Ingles is an intriguing value play, but he's been really good in the small minutes they've given him, and they've been simply just better without him. I don't know how else to say it, but all of these guys I have some interest in. If Conley does in fact get overlooked, I will take some shots on Conley, but he's my least interested of these guys. Mostly it's going to be Gobert and Mitchell for me. Not too exciting. Do you want to jump over to FanDuel? Oh, you know what? I mean, look, on a small slate, it's a high price, but you can still play, or like you could take a shot on Royce O'Neal at a he's not going to be owned, and he's 5K. He's going to play 33 minutes.
Yeah, sure. Let's go to FanDuel. Let me just take a look at some of these. What are some of the contests today? Let's see. There's an $8 World Fantasy. That's not the one you played, right? You got second or third in the $8 one, or is there a bigger buy-in, right, for the fantasy championship?
No, the $8.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I didn't end up second or third. I just ended up, it faded away at the very last minutes.
Oh, okay.
But it was like,
whenever you get there, like in the $8, that's like, you need to be
like 4 entries or something too.
Oh my God, you need to be the stone nuts in that. That's for sure.
I've won that so many times on mostly on baseball, and actually in basketball too, but mostly on baseball. I've literally, I always see it on FanDuel for whatever reason. I always win the $8 and $12 satellites without playing it with only a few entries. All right.
Okay, so let's go to FanDuel. You'll play position by position?
Yes.
So point guard, it's boy, oh boy. I mean, if you want to just do straight value, I mean, Jerome Robinson's 3,600. I mean, I don't want to play Reggie Jackson. I just don't want to.
Even only 5K.
Ugh.
Like if you're playing cash today on FanDuel, play Reggie Jackson.
I guess.
Do yourself a favor.
I'll go with what you said. By the way, if Westbrook has no minutes limit, I want to find a way to get him. I think. Just for raw points to position. I don't know. And again, Wall also. This is going to be a tough one, I think. For a 3-game slate, why are the decisions so hard? So point guard.
I'll tell you why they're so hard. They're so hard because you're trying to fade Reggie Jackson.
Westbrook and all right, fine. Westbrook and Reggie Jackson. Let's first build the chalk first. Let's go Westbrook, and let's put in Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, and the great part about playing over here is you're going to get John Wall at lower ownership. You're going to get Trae Young at low ownership, but again, 10.6 seems a little reachy. You'll get lower. I mean, again, I'll be ahead of the field on Lou Williams in general tonight and just make it, take a shot on him. I'm even after everything we said, Elf Payton obviously is in play over here at 5,200. What's weird is that Elf Payton, even in this spot, other than the one last game with Quickly, would have been ultra chalk on him in major slate isn't going to be that popular here. So that's kind of interesting to me. But I think Jerome Robinson is the one who stands out as being the ultra value.
Yep. Shooting guard is easy for me. Like, if you don't want to play Beal, which certainly can play Beal, then I think we do exactly what we just talked about. I think we play Donovan Mitchell and Alec Burks and play them both in there. And that's the shooting guard position.
Yeah, I like both those. I think Oladipo, though, see, that's the funny part. Now I'm arguing for Oladipo at the overprice, but I think he's still going to end up being pretty popular here. But I don't mind Oladipo. I like Kennard a lot. I think Kennard can really play like real basketball, and they're going to need guys to score and do stuff like that. So Kennard stands out for me a little bit. Herter is so cheap. I like him a lot better over here than I do on DraftKings. And again, we'll have to see who plays. Cam Reddish would be the interesting pivot off of him. If in fact we, who knows what happens with Trae Young. But yeah, I like the idea of what you said. And Jordan Clarkson is the other one I'll throw in. But I think that mostly I'm going to be looking for this Burks stuff because I don't think he's getting the ownership. Go ahead, Shoots.
Why not, right?
Yeah, why not?
Boy, shooting small forward sucks. I don't know. DeAndre Hunter, Nicholas Batum.
It's going to be hard not to play Batum here.
Garrison Matthews.
And DeAndre Hunter, obviously.
Pay up for Barrett? No.
Eric Gordon is still cheap enough. He's still going to play a ton of minutes with those guys. It's not like he's going to be phased out of their rotation. Deshaun Tate at minimum cost, there still is some upside for him here. So he's another one.
I'm going to put in Hunter and Batum for now.
And then Garrison Matthews is the other one, but I actually prefer Tate a little bit over Matthews, all things considered, I think, but it's close. And Bogdanovich. I think I'll just skip the Barrett part of this one.
I think power forward, given what we're probably going to end up doing as center, we could just pay up. I mean, you could play Randall. And as you mentioned, if Trae Young is out, then Collins, but maybe even Collins anyway. And who's the other pay up? And Serge. Well, Serge pay up 50. He's only 5,800.
Yeah, he makes a lot more sense over here.
Ooh, they priced Cousins up just a little bit over here. Okay, that's interesting. What do you like a power forward?
I like Serge better over here. And I love Mark Morris. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Other than that, it's pretty much the usual. Royce O'Neal, John Collins. And then I think that Julius Randle, we want to prioritize. So I think Randle and Morris are my favorite too, in terms of if I was playing a cash lineup, that would be the guys I'd use. The really weird play of Nerlens Noel. And then we didn't mention him on the other thing, but on these small slates, it sometimes be a good time to play PJ Tucker. Washington doesn't close out on defense. They tend to overcollapse the ball. They've got two drivers. I could see PJ Tucker getting some open looks from three. And there's always, some rebounding upside. Also, you never know if Cousins get in foul trouble. You could use PJ Tucker at the 5. There's a lot of ways this plays out where you could see a dose of PJ Tucker, and just a guy you always want to look at on small slates as sort of a different value saver, but a little bit expensive over here. But I still I think he's in play. Bonga and all those guys, fine. Just don't feel excited about it. Really need to know for sure whether Trey's playing today before I know too much more, I guess.
Even at 7,200, Cousins is a rough fade. I guess you want to go. Hey, if you want to be consistent, you want to go pay 10.5 for Capella.
So I mean, I'm probably going to, because
okay.
If I think I can potentially, like, he's going to be, what's weird, he's going to be much more popular over here because
wow,
you have to pick one center, and you can just try to win the position. And they made Cousins at a price where it actually is like the same ratio as it is on DraftKings, Cousins and Capella. But you need to pick one of these guys. And Alex Len ain't 3K, he's 4. So you play a little bit of Alex Len in multi-entry stuff. You play a little bit of Mitchell Robinson.
Oh no, this is what's going to happen.
What is going to happen? Let's throw out 2 fun guys, or maybe not fun. A guy who could be fun if he ever got 20 plus minutes. Derek Favors, I keep waiting to get the 20-minute game, and it's just not happening, like the 20 plus minute game, because he actually produces pretty well. You know what I mean? Yeah. We just need 20 minutes out of him. But that might be your weird, like, ultra brainchild play. I may be too much of a reach even for this slate. I think it's somewhere between Capella, Cousins, and I'll have less of them. Then Gobert, I'll be above the field on Gobert, Len, Robinson, pretty much those guys. Are we, maybe one thing you could do a little different on this slate is consider playing Robin Lopez on both sites. He's been playing enough minutes, and if he puts up 25 fantasy points at his price, the problem is the center only eligibility throws him off on DraftKings, and I hate the price for him over here. I think that maybe it's as simple as to get different, you try to play Mitch Rob, Capella, Len. Cousins and Gobert are going to be extremely popular. I will lean with Gobert. I don't, it never feels good to fade Cousins, but I know when it says 40% Cousins is going to be owned, that means 65, 70%. And I buy in stuff because everybody else is going to do other stuff. So I have to try to find ways. I'm going to still play some of them, but I have to find some ways. If I'm playing 3 big lineups today, at least one won't have Cousins, maybe 2 don't have Cousins across.
All right. So here, this is sometimes, we talk about how like sometimes FanDuel just forces people into like different builds and force you into different guys. And we talk about there like, dude, why do I have this guy 6,300? Because every lineup build, whatever. Sometimes I don't really feel this way. But sometimes when I'm building lineups and sometimes I come up like literally 100 short of like, or I have to overspend my $100 for like my perfect lineup. I feel as though DK and FanDuel do that to you on purpose. Right? They just kind of screw with you. And then other times they just make life so easy. I don't want to make life so easy. So I'm staring at this, like, for example, right? And I'm like, okay, so if I put Cousins in, I'm 1,100 over. And I'm like, all right, so let's just say, let's say that Gobert. That would put me 2,200 over. Oh no, look what this does. It just goes right to wall.
Yep.
Yeah, and then, yep. So There you go.
I like it.
I mean, sometimes it just happens. But Cousins, I mean, look, is the best play, but like I said, the best play doesn't always win. First of all, the best play doesn't always get there, and second of all, the best play, even if it becomes the best play, doesn't always win. So that's where I'm kind of into this Burks thing. Something to root for late. Gives you a little flexibility also. And take our little stand with that guy, I guess.
Yeah, and if you somehow hit on something earlier and maybe you don't feel as comfortable with him, you can find ways to get to other guys on DraftKings that are similar price, like Bogdanovich or anybody else you felt more comfortable with. He's in a comfortable price range. I really like Burks though.
Yeah, so we're punishing myself, by the way. You have to punish yourself a little bit for my misstep in the with this Steven Adams thing, and only because it's not like 100K for first. I am opting out of the Monster tonight. I think I have to punish myself for that. I don't deserve an entry in the Monster after that brain performance. So we'll play 4 entries in like the Slam as my big stand and a couple of single entries.
I like it.
That's the way. So now, I was usually, if I was trash, I was so now you have a chance to win. But that's the way it goes. So you can have the 30K all to yourself.
I'll take the 30K because I need it to make up for last night. Well, not to make up, but for
the Sklansky bucks. I know. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Cheats. Good job, man. Hey guys, we hope you all good luck out there. Be responsible with your bankroll. This is a sort of a high variance slate if you want to try and get different and have a chance to win, in my opinion. So do get different, but just don't spend all your whole bankroll today.
Nope.
Cheats, anything else for the people before we leave?
Nah, dude, we can spend our whole bankroll tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the big one. Good luck to everyone out there, and we'll see you at the top of leaderboards.
Go.